Have you been experiencing sudden random headaches that you never got before? You start feeling you have stomach cramps, absolute disinterest in things that you were once very, very passionate for, perhaps memory loss, even hair loss, and unable to concentrate. These could all be early warning signs of burnout. I ended up being burnt out at the age of 33 years old, and I hope none of you ever experience it. What did it look like? Well, I landed up in hospital for over a month. And in that month, they diagnosed me with everything from pyelonephritis to having had pneumonia, to eventually having septicemia. And it was in that month that I spiraled absolutely downwards, out of control. And I realized I never ever want to get there ever again. It's almost like a center of gravity that just pulls you in and you can't claw your way out. And once I was able to master it, I promised myself I would never ever get there again. I want to just share a bit about the journey and what happened and how it transpired. So in my nature, I'm actually a workaholic. That's who I am. All of us have some form of an obsession or an addiction. I'm just addicted to working, and I just worked very, very hard. And what drove me, I worked so hard out of fear. I was driven by fear that I'd lose my job. What happens and what if I couldn't provide for my children? What if my children need something and I wasn't able to do it? What if I needed an emergency and I didn't have the means to do it? So I was actually driven the whole time by fear, and I landed up working long hours, excessively long hours. And even though I was tired, I used to think, mind over matter, I've got this under control, I can do it. And I tried to be a superhero and tried to be the super mom. I wanted to be the best mom that there was. So I'd obviously want to be at the call of my children whenever they needed me, but I couldn't because I had to be at work. And it used to cause a lot of great cognitive dissonance. On the one hand, I was feeling so much guilt for not being physically present for my children. But on the other hand, I knew I had to go out there and I had to provide for them. I also wanted to be super fit. You know, society puts so much pressure on you to be the best that you can possibly do. So I always needed to look the part, I needed to play the part, and just continued working at everything. If it wasn't running in the morning, getting up to go running at 5 o'clock, I'd come home, make sure I was busy cooking, getting the best meals out for my children, trying to make sure at work I was on time, earliest at work, the last one to leave work, make sure whatever they wanted, I was able to deliver. If any of these are ringing bells for you, I'd like to know in the comments. Share with me what it is. You know, what is it that you feel as though you're doing too much of? I want to hear from you, and I will get back to each and every one of you. Some of you may not even realize and recognize that you're in burnout, and you're starting to look for the cause. You start feeling yourself sink into depressed state. You think to yourself, maybe I'm depressed. Maybe I need to go get some antidepressants to pull myself out of this pit that I'm in. And you're looking for something, you're looking for a problem, when in actual fact you're facing burnout. How did it all happen for me? It started step by step until it eventually spiraled out of control. The starting point for me was having these random headaches. I wasn't a person who was ever prone to headaches. I would then want to understand, why did I get these headaches? And started research and came to the conclusion that it must be hormonal. Now I was quite comfortable, I had a solution for it. It's all hormonal. Tick off, I could deal with that. Next thing, I started realizing I had a lot of indigestion. I started having problems with my stomach, and I'd start researching once again. I have the solution. I'm gluten intolerant, or I'm dairy intolerant. I built up all these stories and all these excuses of what I needed to do to change my behavior. My stomach was a big one. That was a big warning sign for me. At one stage, I actually felt this is like really serious. So I went to the doctor, landed up sending me in for a scope, and came back and said, you have IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. Now I have a cause for it, nothing to worry about. I can be in control of all of this. Then suddenly came the absolute lack of concentration, and I'd struggle to concentrate. Where I was somebody who could actually easily burn 16 hours of studying in a single day. Suddenly I was struggling to concentrate, and I'd find myself repeating things over and over. If I was reading an article or trying to do something, so my concentration started going. I felt myself in a depressed state. I felt like I didn't want to get up. It was so difficult for me to just get up and get out of bed. And I used to think, lack of willpower. Shireen, you have to have much better willpower. So what did I do? Start putting my running shoes out at nighttime. So as soon as I wake up, put on those running shoes, I'm ready to go. So I can't talk myself out of that lack of willpower, because I'm stronger than that. I'm Superwoman. I can do it all. I've got this all under control. I'd have a dose of flu, and I'd run to the doctor, get an antibiotic, and I was back again. Try and catch it early, because if you can catch the flu early, you can recuperate quicker, you can be back at work in no time, and you won't have to miss any time from work. I was in this phase for about 3 years not knowing what was wrong, thinking it was just small symptoms that I could deal with and was part of life, thinking it was actually normal. So you may be sitting there thinking that this is normal. If you have any of those symptoms or any of those problems, let me know in the comments where you're at. In your mind, you think, there's no ways I have burnout. I'm way too strong for this. I can deal with anything. You may think this is all normal, and your strength is what's going to stand in your way because you will believe that this can't be happening to you. You're a strong person, and strength is going to be your downfall because you keep on pushing through and pushing harder and harder and harder. So ultimately what happens is that you spiral to a point where you can no longer push. After all, we know that stress is normal. We look at it, we realize that stress has some positive aspects of your life. Without stress, you can't get motivated to perform. But there is this optimal curve that when you have increased stress, you start increasing your performance. So we see the value of having stress. But if it hits that point when you start hitting diminishing returns and your performance starts decreasing, that's when you start seeing the early warning signs that you're starting to hit burnout. So what are you going to do about burnout? The reality is you have to work, you have to put money on the table, you have to provide. So you need to be able to go, you need to be able to perform. You have responsibilities to individuals. So slowly but surely, I managed to do a lot of research and to investigate how to counteract and how to deal with it. Well, let me start off by using the analogy of a motor vehicle. A motor vehicle has 4 wheels, and all 4 of those wheels need to be fully functional for you to run and for you to drive effectively. In the same way, your body needs 4 things to be in place in order for you to perform at your optimal levels. If we go through the 4 wheels in your life, first of all, the one wheel we know is work. You need to work, you have to provide. So that's one wheel. But you've got other components that need to be in your life that are equally as important. The other components is looking at the emotional side of your life. This is where your heart comes into effect. You need to have those relationships. You need to sustain and build those relationships that will help support you, your children, your family, your friends, your partner, your spouse. Don't neglect those individuals. They're just as important as what your work is. Don't let one thing become the be-all and end-all. So we talk about work, we talk about your emotions. Then we come on to your spirit. Your spirit is just as important. Your spirit is where you have to have this creativity. You need to unleash that creative side of you. But if you feel that you're somebody and you think, I'm not creative, go find some way to get in touch with your spiritual side of you. Whether you're going to nature and you just have this amazing, wonderful feeling of peace. If that's what works for you, go. If it's religion and you enjoy going into a church and you start being part of the choir, whatever it is, that starts releasing that feeling of well-being, you need to nurture your spirit. You need to do something with your spirit. For those of you not spiritual, spiritual doesn't have to be a religious connotation. It's that part of you that unleashes that feeling of well-being and creativity within you and ignites your passion. The 4th wheel is your body. Now, this physical body is important, but don't place too much emphasis on it. However, having said that, out of all the books I've researched, everything I've read, the most important thing you need is sleep. Now, I used to think I could get by with 5 hours sleep a night and drink coffee the whole day to keep me going. Sleep is critical. Your body needs at least 7 to 8 hours sleep at night. Sleep re-energizes you, restores your sense of well-being. So don't neglect your sleep. And for heaven's sakes, don't touch alcohol. Alcohol is a stimulant and it starts stimulating you. So avoid taking any sort of stimulant whatsoever. Your body also needs physical exercise. If you exercise, it's one of the best antidepressants you can get. But don't put additional pressure on yourself. Even if it's just walking 20 minutes and going for a nice calm walk, that is far better than spending 2 hours on a treadmill trying to make sure you have another goal to achieve, another task. The more you put stress on your body, the more your body starts releasing cortisol. And the high level of cortisol is the danger signs in your body. This starts causing inflammation. Your inflammation markers will start going up. So your body is absolutely critical to be in touch with it. You are your best doctor. You know what your body is going through. So take good care of it. Make sure you have nutritious food. Plan your meals. Your body needs good fuel to burn up. Not fast foods, not alcohol, not stimulants. I know at the time I was going through my burnout, I lived on caffeine, chocolates, and carbonated water. Absolutely no go. Avoid those like the plague. Rather make sure you have good oils. Avoid any sort of cooking oils. Rather use avocado oil, coconut oil, or olive oil. If you like the idea of diet and how it impacts your stress levels, leave this video a thumbs up and I'll know to make more content around that. Another nugget of gold. This is probably the best advice and research I ever found was around fasting. I'm not a medical professional. Please consult with your general practitioner or your health practitioner. I'm just sharing from my perspective of how it served me, especially with my IBS. What I've learned now, when I'm under extreme pressure and a lot of stressful situation, I'll end up giving myself a 1-day fast where I drink purely water. It resets me in an unbelievable way and resets my gastrointestinal back in a way that gets me back on track, and I'm able to have clarity and focus like I've never had before. So if you have a life right now and that life is work, you need to start shaking it up now, and I want you to start making other parts of your life important. Remember, it's not all about work. So if this is resonating with you and you know that you're sitting in that situation where you just have no more desire to continue, don't wait for the doctor to tell you it's psychosomatic. Take back charge of your life. This is your life after all. Make sure it's in balance. Get those 4 wheels back on the road. Life doesn't have to exist only about work. You got family, you got friends, you got people that you love, people that you enjoy. Start having a bit of fun. Unleash that creative side in you. Find something that you're passionate about. Go out into nature. Go on adventures. Do things you've never done. Get out of the routine. You need to have some variety, something different. So get back on track and make sure you look at stimulating all 4 parts of your life, not only work. This is important for you because you're wanting to go back and enjoy life. So if you want to progress in work, if you're going to continue throwing yourself into work, you're actually going to spiral and not be productive. There comes a point of no return. So if you want to progress, I'm suggesting that you go back and start taking control of your life now. So create balance so that you have a good, solid foundation to be able to deal with the increased pressure as you progress in your career. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know. I'd like to hear it in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. And don't forget, if you don't want to miss another video, subscribe and turn the notifications on.